In one of the busy neighborhoods of New York City lives a woman named Kathleen Kelly. She wakes up every morning in her cozy apartment, gets cleaned up, leaves the house, and goes to the small bookstore she runs. The store was inherited from her mother and is a small cozy space with shelves filled with children's books and rare editions. Kathleen lives a routine and takes meticulous care of her store, which has become more than just a place of work for her. The store has long been a part of her life, her employees, and her regular customers. Parallel in the same city lives Joe Fox. He is the heir to a large book chain that owns stores across the country. His life is centered around the family business, and Joe's responsibilities include opening new stores in different parts of town. Soon, construction begins next to Kathleen's store on another book superstore that promises to be the largest and most modern bookstore in the area. Joe oversees the development of the project and supervises all stages of the launch, realizing that the new outlet will lead to the displacement of small bookstores, including Kathleen's store. Unbeknownst to themselves, the lives of these two people have long been intertwined in virtual space. Both regularly turn on their computers to go online and check email. They subscribe to nicknames and communicate online as two complete strangers to each other. Correspondence becomes for them a kind of refuge from everyday life. They share their thoughts, discuss books, work, random events. Each of them does not suspect that behind the faceless nickname there is a person whom they regularly meet in real life. Meanwhile, the opening of Joe's new book superstore is not long in coming. The Fox & Sons bookstore opens its doors to its first customers, attracting people with its huge assortment and affordable prices. The emergence of this chain jeopardizes the existence of small independent bookstores, and Kathleen's store is particularly affected. The flow of customers is decreasing, turnover is falling, and Kathleen begins to realize that her business is threatened with closure. She discusses her worries with friends and colleagues, trying to find a solution. In real life, Joe and Kathleen encounter each other by chance when Joe walks into her store posing as a regular customer interested in children's books. They talk without knowing who each other are to each other online. In the meantime, their virtual communication continues. They still write letters without revealing their real names or giving details that would give away their identities. The situation escalates when Kathleen learns that Joe is the owner of the very bookstore that brought her business to the brink of bankruptcy. Tension builds between them, and every time they meet by chance, their conversations end in misunderstanding. Nevertheless, despite the competition and disagreements, they continue to write each other letters on the internet, unaware of the real identity of the interlocutor. Joe also faces personal difficulties. His family business requires constant attention, and his relationship with his girlfriend is at an impasse. Kathleen also finds no solace in her personal life. Every evening she returns home and turns on her computer to find an email from an anonymous interlocutor. For both of them, this becomes a source of stability that is lacking in reality. Soon Kathleen realizes that she will have to close her store. She informs her employees and begins selling off books, freeing up the space. The process of saying goodbye to the store becomes difficult for her, as the place she has spent so many years in is becoming a thing of the past. Joe, watching from the sidelines, realizes that his business has caused Kathleen's store to close and begins to think about the consequences of his work. Meanwhile, their virtual romance is gaining momentum. Both decide to meet in real life, not knowing who exactly will appear at the meeting. Kathleen comes to the agreed cafe and waits. Soon Joe walks in, sees her, and realizes who his pen pal really is. He does not reveal his identity to Kathleen and behaves as if he was there by chance. A conversation takes place between them, during which Kathleen tells Joe everything she thinks about him as a businessman and the man who caused her problems. After this meeting, Joe changes his behavior. He begins to appear in Kathleen's life more and more often, showing a different side of himself. He invites her for walks, helps her with small things, and maintains a friendly relationship without revealing his secret. Kathleen, unaware that her online interlocutor and Joe are the same person, begins to change her opinion of him. In virtual communication, Joe continues to correspond with Kathleen, supporting her morally in a difficult period for her. He advises her to look for new ways, suggests that she should not put her hands down and start a new life. Kathleen shares with him her worries about the loss of the store and about failures in her personal life. Gradually, trust is formed between them, even though the meeting in reality did not take place as they expected. As their correspondence continues, Joe decides to open up fully. He organizes a new meeting, this time intending to show Kathleen who he really is. Until then, he tries to get closer to her by finding occasions to meet her at random, walking around the city with her, and discussing books and everyday topics. These meetings become regular, and each time Kathleen becomes more and more convinced that Joe is not the man she thought he was before. Finally, the day of the meeting arrives. Joe arrives at the agreed place with his dog and waits for Kathleen in the park. When she approaches, he no longer hides the fact that he was the one who had been her email contact all along. Kathleen silently realizes the truth, and Joe watches her reaction. At this point, their story goes beyond virtual communication and moves to a new reality, where they will have to build a relationship without secrets.